The powerful intercession of St. Joseph shows itself in a diversity of ways. One powerful historical way was through the added intercession of Blessed Andre Bessette in the 19th and 20th century. And that's a call to love St. Joseph that continues to us today. Hello and welcome to Marycast. This is Dr. Mark Miravalle, Professor of Theology and Mariology at the Franciscan University of Steubenville. And I'm thrilled, actually, to be talking about St. Joseph in the midst of a mini-series on St. Joseph. And we've seen historically the love of the Church for St. Joseph, which is actually brought to a certain climax in the 19th century, both because Blessed Pius IX, the Holy Father, during the time in the middle of the 19th century, declares Joseph the patron of the Universal Church. This is again confirmed by Pope Leo XIII in a beautiful encyclical on why St. Joseph should have the greatest devotion after our Blessed Mother. And then it's manifested in a mystical and phenomenal way through the person and the experience of Blessed Andre Bessette. As we were talking about in our last segment, Blessed Andre Bessette appears in the middle of the 19th century and continues till approximately the early 1930s. And as a simple porter, Blessed Andre encourages people to pray to St. Joseph and ask his intercession. Now, it had been the history even before Blessed Andre to recommend people to use a certain oil that burned at a lamp next to the statue of St. Joseph in a church of the Holy Cross Brothers. Now, that oil, very similar to the oil of St. Philomena that was happening in Mugnano during the same 19th century, the oil burning next to the image started to be attested to various miracles and favors. Well, when Blessed Andre appears on the scene, he redoubles his efforts to get people to use the oil of St. Joseph. And as people start coming to Blessed Andre and the word gets out that he's asking and encouraging people and heaven is responding to the miraculous, more and more people journey to this small abbey, and they start asking to talk with Blessed Andre. Blessed Andre starts giving out more and more oil, and he starts the following practice, that he encourages people to take the oil, to apply the oil on an ill part of the body, to use a medal of St. Joseph, and to rub the oil into the body with the medal. So oftentimes, Blessed Andre himself, at least with the men who would come, would take a medal of St. Joseph, wrap it in a cloth, apply oil to the outside of the cloth, and then rub the injured part of the body. My friends, within a few years, they were receiving over 400 letters a day and up to a 2 or 3 day wait to see Blessed Andre and to ask his wisdom or advice or his cure. Now, the numbers that are given are between 400, that's the most conservative estimate, to 15,000 miracles per year. Now, the documentation could be more towards having an overall 15,000 in terms of what people that actually sent things in, but good estimates say between 400 and 15,000 miracles happened a year. The average was 7 to 11% of the people that came to see Blessed Andre. So the average time the Blessed Andre gave to someone was 60 seconds. That's correct, 60 seconds. They would come in. Blessed Andre was behind a little table. They would express their needs. Blessed Andre would typically say, here's the oil, here's the medal. Pray a novena to St. Joseph and apply the medal to the part of the body that is injured. Trust in St. Joseph. And that was it. And he'd ring the bell and the next person would come in. Only with people that he mystically recognized as hardened sinners would he take up to an hour. And there's a beautiful quote by one of the confreres of Blessed Andre that said, "For people of little faith or of no faith, miracles happened more predominantly. For people who had strong faith, more often, Blessed Andre would say, suffer. The good God needs suffering, and it will purify your soul." So you see the paradoxical mercy of God the Father, and that typically people who needed a miracle would receive a miracle. So when you use a figure between 7 and 11%, That's extraordinary. That's, 1 out of 10 or 1 out of 11 people that came and saw Blessed Andre received a miraculous cure. So through the process of this devotion, eventually Blessed Andre has a oratory built, which is a place of prayer, a shrine built based on donations of people from the cures and others that would contribute, so that, in fact, by 1920, there was the great oratory of St. Joseph in Montreal, which is arguably the single greatest Josephite pilgrimage center in the entire world. Now, during this time, Blessed Andre also received tremendous attack. Yes, he received satanic attack. People that lived with him could hear chains dragging and voices. Occasionally, a person would testify to the fact that Blessed Andre would be picked up and dropped 12 feet later, farther up, as if he tried to jump, but it was actually a satanic type of lifting and throwing him down. People could hear from his room him dialoguing, telling Satan to leave, repelling Satan in the name of Jesus and Our Lady, and good St. Joseph. Blessed Andre also had the gifts of reading hearts. Oftentimes he would let someone know of something wrong that they were doing. One person came in and was blind and did not receive the miracle and was crying, and one of the brothers said, Andre, this man and his wife is next door. They're crying because they didn't receive a miracle. And Blessed Andre responded, yes, but they shouldn't expect a miracle when he brings someone who is not, and calls it someone, his wife, who is not truly his wife. Other times, when people were not cured, Blessed Andre would give consolation and sometimes even a prediction of when the person would die. One time, Blessed Andre visited a sick boy in the hospital and had a very high fever, and Andre, in front of the mother and the doctor, said, the boy has no more fever. And the doctor said, well, this is ridiculous. We just took his temperature. He said, he has no more fever. He's resting now. And the doctor said, well, we'll take his temperature in front of you then, brother. And he did, and there was no temperature. But then Brother Andre told the mother, your boy will die tomorrow between 8 and 8:30. Prepare, and this is the will of the good God. And indeed, Brother Andre found out the next day that the boy died at 8:22, but the mother was peaceful. The mother was resigned. So, Blessed Andre, as all the saints, do not take over God's providence, but they are humble servants of manifesting the power and the wisdom and even the miracle of God. On other occasions, Blessed Andre was severely attacked by the medical profession, saying that it's nonsense, there are no miracles, and that's why there's so many documentations of doctors who at first would say this is nonsense, this is superstition, and who would later, many of which were later converted by the stark scientific evidence of an instantaneous miraculous cure. So, Blessed Andre Bessette continues to be an intercessor with St. Joseph, so that St. Joseph will be known throughout the world. And I encourage you to write St. Joseph's Oratory in Montreal. They have a website, saint-joseph.com, and you can go, you can have the oil sent to you, and certainly you can get novenas to St. Joseph. But Blessed Andre is an example for all of us, kind of, once again, a Canadian Padre Pio in honor of St. Joseph, that tells us that, yes, we are called to suffer, but St. Joseph is our foster father, and he can do untold miracles and graces, not just physical, for marriages, for people who left the faith, for people in despair, for drug addicts, for people who are suffering from the economy. So, go to St. Joseph, and I encourage you in this section, go to Blessed Andre to assist you to love St. Joseph as he loves St. Joseph, so that miracles can occur in our world and in the church, all for the glory of God and the salvation of souls. This is Dr. Mark Miravalle with Mary Cass saying, thanks and God bless.